What is up, you guys? Marty McFly coming at you, bringing you guys the literature. Say what? Yes, we are actually bringing back heavy metal literature, a segment I have not done in a very long time, but I'm very much looking forward to doing this because I was going through one of my books the other day that I'm currently reading, and I said, there is so much to offer when it comes to heavy metal and books and literature and reading in general. So, of course, I was playing some Paradise Lost today and going through my stack and realized this book needs to be talked about more. This is no celebration. Paradise Lost by David Gelka. This is the official story of Halifax's own gothic doom metal, whatever you want to put, genre you want to put them in, the initial death doom to gothic metal to basically doom metal, and one of the greatest bands in heavy metal history. This is their story. Now, the foreword was written by Carl Willits from Memoriam and Bolt Thrower, which I think is a phenomenal way to start the book. The book is so well written. David Gelka, of course, this is not his first journey into the literature realm, but he does a fantastic job of showing a chronographic development and where we are now with the band Paradise Lost. This has recently been re-added to with more pictures, more stories, and I even had a little bit of a more of a modern catch-up to where the band is now. But if you have not heard of this band, this is from Halifax, I think West Yorkshire in England, basically growing upon the doomy, already gloomy aspects of their town and creating essentially what I don't think they were going to realize was going to be one of the biggest, most influential heavy metal bands of all time. Of course, they were also of the Peaceville 3, and I think that says it all. Pure Northern Misery, formed in 1988 against the backdrop of a dreary north of England. And that's it. I mean, they said it right on. You know, of course, they had Paradise Lost, Paradise Lost, Lost Paradise as their first record, and then going into 1991's Gothic, which is still hailed as one of the greatest death doom albums of all time. This book is so well written and really does take you on a wonderful journey through their good, their bad, when they got signed and they had so much money and they didn't know what to do with it, to where they essentially pissed it all away and pissed off their fans. It's really funny because that's exactly the era I'm talking about. When the band switched over to, I guess you could say, the Host era, and everything that is before and after that, even I would not include 1 Second in that, because 1 Second did have a shift towards the melody, but I would say they really started to piss off their fans when you start going towards Host and afterwards. Now, granted, I love pretty much everything they've done. I would say another album that really kind of divided people, especially going into if you're going to go into Host era, if you're going to go into True Belief, or the Belief area with the cover with all the bees on it, essentially that one, Believe in Nothing. If you're going to go into those, there's really some dividing moments for fans because the band started to get a little bit bigger. They're in a lot of control with their record label, and then the band themselves were basically just had so much more money that they didn't know what to do with. But then they lost some of their, I guess you could say they lost some of their passion for it, and the band changed a lot. But when they started really coming back, and I would say the comeback album for me especially, when they're coming through that era, was when they came out with the self-titled Paradise Lost, and just hit everybody in the face saying, this is Paradise Lost, we're back. And I think that's the first real return where, I mean, that was my first Paradise Lost record. Don't get me wrong, that was my first Paradise Lost album, and that was my introduction to them. But that was the first time I really looked through the discography. I'm like, okay, they're starting to come back a little bit more. And then we now, of course, have the last 3 or 4, 5 albums. I mean, if you count into the record right after the self-titled, you really can tell they're bringing back the heavy, and then all of a sudden we get the growls, and the real death doom, the Gothic era came back. And I think this book just does such a great job of really putting you in their shoes in the early dreary days of death doom, and then eventually getting signed to Peaceville, and then taking you on that journey. I mean, there are so many great albums by this band. The discography is massive. If you haven't listened to them, please do. start with any of them and then let yourself take them on a ride. Go in with open ears and eyes and just listen and try to immerse yourself in whatever record that is. Do I have some less favorites? Absolutely. Do I dislike any particular album? No. I would say, ironically, the album I listen to the least is probably Believe in Nothing, but not because I don't like it. I would just say it's the one I listen to the least. But good grief, man, there are some phenomenal tracks, some songs, some earworms that get stuck in your head for days. I really love everything this band has done. The last two albums, especially Obsidian, wow, Obsidian going into Ascension cemented themselves in two of my favorite records of all time by this band. I love everything they've done. I love this band. One of these days I really need to just spend the money and get something autographed by them so I can frame it. I love this book. Anyway, I know I'm like going waxing nostalgic about this band itself, but the book is so well written. There's really nothing that jumps out at you as far as a mistake chronologically, which is very hard to do. Numerically, name-wise, there's really nothing I would identify as like an acute mistake, unless if you're really going through it with a fine-tooth comb. Maybe a literature professor might find something. I don't know. I think the texture of the writing style and everything is so perfect and well written. It is much more, I would say, grammatically speaking, much more like an English literature professor did write it, as opposed to maybe more the Americana simplistic style. No, this is well written. It's easy to sink your teeth into, and it really is kind of gives you an elevated sophistication of the writing style of this band. So I can't say enough good things about David Gelka for writing this. And of course, the foreword by Carl Willits from Memoriam and Bolt Thrower. So if you haven't picked up this book, there should be still copies, I think, on their website. I think you go to, it's basically Decibel Books. I think also if you go to like Bazillion Points, you can check it out there too. There's an updated version of this with more pictures, more words, more things about the modern era. If you haven't checked out their newest record, please do so. Ascension, it's fantastic. Like I said, it cemented itself as one of my favorite Paradise Lost albums of all time. But that is it from me, guys. That is No Celebration by Paradise Lost. Sink your teeth into, read something other than the smut you normally read when you're doom scrolling at work, and I hope you guys are doing well, taking care of each other. Like, comment, subscribe, give me some love. Talk to me about your favorite band, your favorite book down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Cheers.